Hello everyone, got 4 dirty jokes for you today. So an American man went to China and had fun with many of their ladies while not using protection the entire time he was there. A week after arriving back home in the States, he wakes one morning to find his manhood covered with bright green and purple spots. Horrified, he immediately goes to see a doctor. The doctor, never having seen anything like this before, orders some tests and tells the man to return in 2 days for the results. The man returns a couple of days later and the doctor says, "I've got bad news for you. You've contracted Mongolian VD. It's very rare and almost unheard of here in the US. We know very little about it." The man looks a little perplexed and says, "Well, give me a shot or something and fix me up, doc." The doctor answers, "I'm sorry, there's no known cure. We're going to have to amputate your wiener." The man screams in horror, "Absolutely not. I want a second opinion." The doctor replies, "Well, it's your choice. Go ahead, if you want, but surgery is your only option." The next day, the man seeks out a Chinese doctor, figuring that he'll know more about the disease. The Chinese doctor examines his thing and proclaims, "Ah, yes, Mongolian VD. Very rare disease." The guy says to the doctor, Yeah, I already know that, but what can we do? My American doctor wants to cut it off." The Chinese doctor shakes his head and laughs. Stupid American doctors always want to amputate. Make more money that way. No need to amputate. "Oh, thank God," the man exclaims. "Yes," says the Chinese doctor. "Wait 2 weeks. Fall off by itself." So a guy goes to a bar with his chihuahua. He sees no dogs are allowed, and seeing a Doberman tied to a streetlight outside, decides to do the same. So he ties the Chihuahua to a streetlight a few down from the other dog, goes inside the bar, and has a few drinks. Suddenly, a cop runs into the bar screaming, "Hey, who owns those 2 dogs that were tied up outside?" The man says, "The Chihuahua is mine," and another man at the end of the bar says the Doberman is his. The cop says, "Well, the Doberman broke loose from the light. Tore the damn thing out of the ground. Craziest thing I ever saw. He saw that poor little dog and attacked. I'm sorry to say, the dog's dead." "Not my little dog," cries the man. "No, not the Chihuahua," says the cop. "The Doberman died." The other dog owner can't believe what he's hearing. "My Doberman weighed 100 pounds. Was a guard dog for 10 years and stopped a bank robbery. Just tore a street light out of the ground, and you're telling me a Chihuahua killed him? How is that possible?" The cop says, "He choked on the little fellow." So a man settles in his seat next to the window on a plane, when another man sits down next to him and seats his black Labrador retriever in between them. The first man looks very quizzically at the dog and asks why he's allowed on the plane. The second man explains that he's a DEA agent, sniffing dog. His name is Sniffer, and he's the best there is. I'll show you once we get airborne, when I put him to work. The plane takes off, and once it has leveled out, the agent says, "Watch this." He tells Sniffer to search. Sniffer jumps down, walks along the aisle, and finally sits very purposefully next to a woman for several seconds. Sniffer then returns to its seat and puts one paw on the agent's arm. The agent says, "Good boy," and he turns to the man and says, "That woman is in possession of marijuana, so I'm making a note of her seat number and the authorities will apprehend her when we land." "Say, that's pretty neat," replies the first man. Once again, the agent sends Sniffer to search the aisles. The lab sniffs about, sits down beside a man for a few seconds, returns to its seat, and this time he places 2 paws on the agent's arm. The agent says that man is carrying cocaine, so again, I am making a note of his seat number for the police. I like it, says his seatmate. The agent then tells Sniffer to search again. Sniffer walks up and down the aisles for a little while, sits down for a moment, and then comes racing back to the agent, jumps into the middle seat and proceeds to poop all over the place. The first man is really grossed out by this behavior and can't figure out how or why a well-trained dog would act like that, so he asks the agent, "What's going on?" The agent nervously replies, "He just found a bomb." So Cinderella was now 75 years old. After a fulfilling life with the now passed-away prince, she happily sat upon her rocking chair, watching the world go by from her front porch, with a cat called Alan for companionship. One sunny afternoon, out of nowhere, appeared the fairy godmother. Cinderella said, "Fairy godmother, what are you doing here after all these years?" The fairy godmother replied, "Well, Cinderella, as you have lived a good, wholesome life since we last met, I have decided to grant you 3 wishes. Is there anything for which your heart still yearns?" Cinderella was overjoyed, and after some thoughtful consideration, almost under her breath, she uttered her first wish. "I wish I was wealthy beyond comprehension." Instantly, her rocking chair was turned into solid gold. Cinderella was stunned. Alan, her old faithful cat, jumped off her lap and scampered to the edge of the porch, quivering with fear. Cinderella said, "Oh, thank you, fairy godmother." The fairy godmother replied, "It's the least I can do. What does your heart desire for your second wish?" Cinderella looked down at her frail body and said, "I wish I were young and full of the beauty of youth again." At once, her wish became reality, and her beautiful youthful visage returned. Cinderella felt stirrings inside her that had been dormant for years. And long-forgotten vigor and vitality began to course through her very soul. Then the fairy godmother again spoke, "You have one more wish. What will you have?" Cinderella looked over to the frightened cat in the corner and said, "I wish you to transform Alan, my old cat, into a beautiful and handsome young man." Magically, Alan suddenly underwent a fundamental change in his biological makeup that, when complete, he stood before her a boy so beautiful, the likes of which neither she nor the world had ever seen, so fair indeed that birds began to fall from the sky at his feet. The fairy godmother again spoke, "Congratulations, Cinderella. Enjoy your new life." And with a blazing shock of bright blue electricity, she was gone. For a few eerie moments, Alan and Cinderella looked into each other's eyes. Cinderella sat, breathless, gazing at the most stunningly perfect boy she had ever seen. Then Alan walked over to Cinderella, who sat transfixed in her rocking chair, and held her close in his strong, youthful arms. He leaned in close to her ear, whispered, blowing her golden hair with his warm breath, "I bet you regret having me neutered now, don't you?"